Hey, my good people. I'm glad you're here because today we need to talk about something that's making headlines and affecting hundreds of thousands of lives in the United States. The Supreme Court has just given the Trump administration the green light to move forward with ending temporary protected status, or TPS, for Venezuelans. Now, if that already sounds heavy, don't worry. We're going to break it down together, step by step, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this one because it raises some big questions about fairness, justice, and humanity. So first, what is TPS? Well, Temporary Protected Status is a program that allows people from countries in crisis to stay and work legally in the U.S. If your home country is facing war, natural disasters, or severe political and humanitarian crises, the U.S. can say, you know what, it's not safe for you to go back right now, so you can stay here temporarily. For Venezuelans, that's been a reality for a few years. The Biden administration initially granted TPS because Venezuela has been dealing with political turmoil, economic collapse, and a humanitarian disaster that's left millions struggling just to survive. Now fast forward to this year. The Trump administration has been pushing to end those protections, saying the conditions no longer justify TPS. But here's the thing, Venezuela hasn't suddenly become stable or safe. The crisis there is still real and ongoing. So naturally, lawsuits were filed to block the administration's move. Lower courts had actually stepped in to stop those protections from being stripped away. But this week, the Supreme Court said the administration can go ahead while those cases continue. And this is not the first time. Back in May, the court had already granted a similar request. This latest ruling basically says, we stand by what we said before. 3 of the justices disagreed, including Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who wrote a powerful dissent. She said she simply couldn't accept the court's repeated interference in cases like this while, in her words, lives hang in the balance. That's a strong statement, and it really makes you pause for a second. Do you think she has a point? Should the highest court in the land be stepping in this quickly, especially when the consequences for people are so serious? Here's what this ruling actually means in practical terms. More than 300,000 Venezuelans who are protected from deportation may soon lose that shield. Many of them have lived here for years, built families, jobs, and communities. Some even have children who are U.S. citizens. Imagine being told you might have to leave everything you've built and return to a country you escaped because it wasn't safe. That's the kind of uncertainty that thousands of people are facing right now. And that leads us to a bigger question. Should humanitarian protections like TPS be something that swings back and forth depending on who's in office? One administration grants it, another takes it away. For the people caught in the middle, that's not just politics, it's their whole lives. Do you think there should be a more permanent solution? Maybe something Congress has to decide on instead of it being left up to each president? Another thing to think about is America's role in the world. The U.S. has always seen itself as a leader when it comes to human rights and protecting people fleeing crises. But when we take away protections from people who are clearly escaping danger, does that send a different message? Some argue that it undermines our moral standing. Others say the U.S. can't take on the responsibility of every crisis around the world. Where do you fall on that spectrum? Should the U.S. prioritize humanitarian responsibility, or should it focus more on limiting immigration, even in cases like this? And let's not forget the legal side of this. This ruling is part of a broader trend where the Supreme Court has been willing to let executive actions go forward, even when lower courts tried to block them. Critics say this undermines the authority of lower courts and fast-tracks decisions that affect real people before all the arguments have been fully heard. Supporters say it shows the court is respecting presidential authority. But here's the million-dollar question. When people's lives are literally on the line, should the court err on the side of caution? Now, none of this means Venezuelans are being deported tomorrow. The legal fights are still ongoing, and advocacy groups are pushing back hard. But the ruling does shift the balance. It means protections could be lifted while the court sort it all out, and for families who depend on that status, the fear and uncertainty just got very real. So where does that leave us? For Venezuelans living under TPS, it's a moment of deep uncertainty. For the legal system, it's another example of how the balance of power between the courts and the presidency keeps shifting. And for the rest of us, It's a reminder that immigration policy isn't just about numbers and laws. It's about people. Real people with hopes, fears, and lives on pause, waiting for decisions that could change everything for them. I'd love to know what you think. Should the U.S. be ending protections for Venezuelans right now? Or is this the wrong time to pull the plug? Do you think TPS should be temporary, as the name suggests, or should we find ways to make it more permanent for those who truly can't return safely? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those issues where everyone's perspective really matters. Thanks for spending some time with me today and diving into this important story. If you found this helpful or thought-provoking, make sure to hit that like button, share this with someone who might want to hear about it, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. That way, you'll never miss when we break down stories that matter to all of us. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.